Good morning.
Morning, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. कितना धीरे धीरे एंटर होते हो लेट में भी. Yes, Bhargav. No issues. When is your exam? Next exam? Mute.
Today afternoon, ma'am.
अरे तो पढ़ो जाके. यहाँ क्या क्लास अटेंड कर रहे हो, जाओ.
Okay.
You will get the backup.
Okay.
All the best. भाई CMA की एग्जाम है. See the dedication. Today afternoon he is having CMA exam and he is studying कि classes का backup मिलेगा कि नहीं. मैं पढ़ लेता हूँ. और क्या है हमारी नेहा आई नहीं अब तक. आने दो. एक एग्जाम्पल मिल गया अपने को. चलो. So we have started. उदय प्रिया जल्दी आओ. देखो ऑलरेडी 5 मिनट में लिंक देने में लेट. उसके बाद भी तुम लोग लेट कैसे होते हो. प्रिया जल्दी आओ. So we have started with मैट. मैट में we have done what? Doctor says rest in peace. किसको बोला था भैया rest in peace हो जाओ. Doctor says rest in peace to the AOP BOI. भाई क्या हुआ उससे? बिजनेस ट्रस्ट लॉस हो गया. हमारा ट्रस्ट तो गया. हम कहाँ भागे? फॉरेन कंपनी के पास. फॉरेन कंपनी बोली सिक कंपनी, लॉस टू यू एंड योर सब्सिडी. हम तो आए थे रिवैल्यूएशन एंड डिविडेंड के लिए. आर यू अंडरस्टैंड? वो एक सेंटेंस एंड योर एंटायर मैट इज इनकॉर्पोरेटेड इन दैट सेंटेंस. ठीक है. फॉर द टाइम बीइंग फर्स्ट आई एम स्टार्टिंग विद द रिविजन. ठीक है. देन व्हेन आई वुड बी डूइंग दैट मैट का इंडेक्स वाला पार्ट, निक्की यू कैन लीव. मैं तुम्हें मैट का वीडियो दूंगी, उससे तुम्हें पूरा कवर करना पड़ेगा. ठीक है. सो माइट बी पॉसिबल तुम अभी क्लिक नहीं कर पाओ इसलिए. और अगर लग रहा है कि रिवीजन में सब कवर हुआ, समझ में आया, तो यू कैन कंटिन्यू दैट. ठीक है. एंड रिपीटिंग अगेन, लास्ट टाइम भी ऐसा हुआ था. स्टूडेंट स्टार्टेड आईडीटी, दे वर वेटिंग फॉर माई डीटी का सेकेंड बैच. फॉर दिस अटेम्प्ट ऑल्सो मेरा डीटी आईडीटी का फिर से सेकेंड बैच नहीं होगा. तो दोज हु आर थिंकिंग कि ऐसे हम सेकंड बैच करेंगे, तो इस अटेम्प्ट के लिए मेरा फिर से कोई बैच स्टार्ट नहीं होगा. अदरवाइज जनरली मैं 2 बैच स्टार्ट करती हूँ. एक रिजल्ट के पहले, एक रिजल्ट के बाद. फॉर ड्यू टू द बिजी स्केड्यूल मैं फिर से इस बार नहीं कर पाऊंगी. तो ऐसा कुछ सोच के मत चलना कि कभी जिसको पता हो. क्योंकि लास्ट टाइम स्टूडेंट ने मिड में 20 दिन बाद ज्वाइन किया था, जब उनको ये मेरे मुंह से पता चला कि कोई बैच स्टार्ट नहीं होने वाली. ठीक है. चलो. सो नाउ starting with your revision, entire revision that we have done. Residential status we have done properly. एक बार I am assuming कि you have revised that thing and I am assuming कि लिख के भी रखा है. So my focus would be first various entity का concept. Now if you want to revise residential status, video is given in your playlist also. ठीक है. Then we will, after some time, we will take this residential का audio note will also be provided to you. ठीक है. चलो. So first is my concept that is related to alternate minimum tax. Now my concept related to what? Alternate minimum tax. Alternate minimum tax का if I do the concept, what about alternate minimum tax? If I talk about alternate minimum tax, this alternate minimum tax is nothing. It is applicable to all SSC. This alternate minimum tax का concept is applicable to all SSC, but this does not apply to company. When I talked about alternate minimum tax, if you remember, when it is alternate minimum tax, it is 18.5% का tax you have to pay. Whatever is your normal tax rate, we are not concerned about that, but at least 18.5% you have to pay. Surcharge depending on your income, and 4% health and education cess will be applicable here also. Marginal relief ka concept will also apply here also. So this, would I apply marginal relief ka concept? Yes. Would I apply surcharge? Yes, depending on your total income. See, being revision, only writing the words. Then after this, if I talk about alternate minimum tax, how would I judge that I have to apply the alternate minimum tax here? So they said that if your total income has certain deduction, if your income, there are certain deduction, then that certain deduction, if there, then you can apply alternate minimum tax ka concept. It was section number 3580. It was section number 10AA ka deduction. It was nothing but 80 IA to 80 RRB का concept except 80P. Okay, this was all the concept that were given in my alternate minimum tax. Now, when it comes to section 3580, it is nothing specified business related deduction. In this, you will get, if you purchase a capital asset, 100% deduction you would be getting. Now they say, you have to calculate adjusted total income. Alternate minimum tax में हमने क्या देखा था? That you have to calculate adjusted total income. Now, what is my adjusted total income? They say in your total income, add back this section 35AD का deduction if you have, add back 10AA का deduction if you had, add back ये 80IA से RRB का deduction if you are having. Add it back, it is nothing your adjusted total income. But we have done one more thing, that when it comes to adding back 3580, you don't focus on writing. Already ये PDF ही बना रही हूँ, ठीक है? तो anyhow you will get this. आपको ये वो glitch वगैरह कुछ नहीं रहेगा. तो don't focus on writing, learn with it. When it comes to calculation of adjusted total income, when it comes to calculation of your adjusted total income, they say add back 3580. Now 3580 was related to my 100% ka deduction. 100% deduction, when they were giving on 3580, that was 45 specified business. No depreciation was allowed to me because double benefit was not allowed. Now, when they say ki add back this 3580 ka deduction in order to calculate your adjusted total income, I have to ask them one thing, that when you are taking back my 3580 ka deduction, compulsory give me depreciation now, because depreciation is mandatory. Yaad hai itna? Now, if your adjusted total income is equal to 20 lakh, AMT will not be applicable. But if your adjusted total income is more than 20 lakh, then your AMT ka concept will be applicable. What if my alternate minimum tax is greater than my normal provision ka tax? In that case, obviously you have to pay whatever is according to your alternate minimum tax. So if I pay according to my alternate minimum tax, but my normal provision is saying कि आपको इधर 10 lakh बोलता है भरने को, इधर it is saying कि pay only 8 lakh. In such a case, I am required to pay 10 lakh. That means I am paying 2 lakh extra. What about this 2 lakh? This 2 lakh will be allowed as a credit to you, and this credit could be taken in next 15 assessment year. You can take in subsequent next 15 assessment year the credit of this alternate minimum tax. Now, when the provision is like this, now normal provision says ki you have to pay, how much normal provision says you have to pay 10 lakh. My AMT is saying only pay 8 lakh. In that case, what is the scenario? Actually, now AMT is saying pay less and normal provision is saying pay more. Now this is the time when I can utilize this credit, but I will be utilizing credit only up to the benchmark of difference between normal and alternate minimum tax. This was the entire concept that was given there. That was given in my alternate minimum tax wala concept. Understood this? Itna aa gaya? So this was my alternate minimum tax on all the SCC, not company. Then you have to calculate adjusted total income, but institute will give you PGBP ka income, and that to 20 lakh. Don't see that PGBP ka income, because adjusted total income should be more than 20 lakh or equal to 20 lakh. If equal to 20 lakh, no AMT ka concept. If greater than 20 lakh, AMT ka concept will be there. For the doubts, don't ask doubt right now. Ask at the last of the class, because abhi revision chalne do. ठीक है? Now, it is about AMT. Now, second, we are starting with our political party. What was that political party wala concept? Political party wala concept was that entire income. See, political party does not have salary income, so don't worry about that. Then it has house property ka income, is income from other source. It would have income of capital gain. They say all this income could be exempt. It could be exempt ho sakti hai, but this exemption is possible if all the conditions that has been mentioned could be satisfied. Then what about PGBP income of a political party? It would always be taxable. When I talk about political party, house property income, other source income, capital income could be exempt. How it could be exempt? It could be exempt if, first thing, they maintain what? They maintain books of account, and they maintain what? Books of account and document. Is it maintenance relevant only? No. According to that, after maintenance, audit of books of account is also necessary. When you are taking donation greater than 2000, for greater than 2000 donation, it should always be in electronic mode. Why I am writing only in electronic mode? All the kinds of mode are acceptable, but you should know it should not be in cash. That means equal to 2000 cash, okay. Greater than 2000 compulsory electronic mode would be there. When they accept donation more than 20,000, they have to maintain the record. They have to maintain the record. That means name of the donor, the amount donated, address of the donor, they have to keep. But in fact, even it is 20,000 se upar ka donation they are receiving, remember electoral bond, that is exempted. Don't make a maintenance of record of this electoral bond. That we have seen the reason in electoral trust. Why? Because electoral trust for 95% or more have to be donated to political party only in that case. So except electoral bond. After this thing, they have said this, okay, maintenance of the books of account, audit done, 2000 se upar you have accepted by electronic mode, then 20,000 ke upar you have made record. If all these conditions satisfied, then your this income, that is house property income, your income from other source, entire would be exempted. After this, if you donate to a political party or an electoral trust, dono mein, there is 80 GGB and there is 80 GGC. Now GGB is for all, for only company, and C is for all the SCCs except company. C for company hota hai, but it is for all SCC, and B is for every only company, that is Indian company. In that, if you are donating in cash only, then you would not get any deduction. That means 100% should be in electronic mode. But we have already seen a glitch over here ki political party ka they forgot to mention. Remember that concept ki political party ka they forgot to mention ki political party can accept up to 2000 in cash. But whether it is GGB or GGC, it is required that only in electronic mode donation should be accepted. This is all about your political party ka concept. Then we have to come to that electoral trust. Now, what is electoral trust? The basic thing about an electoral trust is its voluntary contribution. Its voluntary contribution would be exempted. It is only about voluntary contribution or voluntary donation, not about any other thing. When it comes to electoral trust, voluntary contribution or voluntary donation could be exempt. Why I am saying could be exempt? Because it is again conditional. What is the condition? Condition number 1, this electoral trust has to donate 95% or more. I can also write at least 95%. It has to donate to whom? It has to donate to a political party. It has to donate to whom? It has to donate to a political party. 95% or more of what? Whatever you have earned in current year plus whatever brought forward from the previous year. That total and 95% or more you have to donate to the political party and follow all the central government ke rules. Whatever the rules framed by central government, you have to follow. Then only electoral trust ka voluntary contribution will be exempt. After this electoral trust cannot in any case, accept any, even 1 rupee cannot accept in cash. That means always they have to go with the electronic mode. EM is your electronic mode. So remember, political party at least 2,000 they can receive in cash. But when it comes to electoral trust, not at all, no receipt in cash. When it comes to electoral trust, what they can accept? When it comes to the electoral trust, they can accept it from Indian citizen. Can they accept it from Indian citizen? Yes, they can accept it from Indian citizen who is individual. That means for an individual, residential status is not mandatory. What is mandatory is your Indian citizen. You should be the citizen of India. They have not mentioned whether person of Indian origin or Indian citizen. Simply you have to be an Indian citizen. Apart from this, domestic company, you can accept, electoral trust can accept the donation from a domestic company or from resident, HUF, resident firm, everything should be resident now. That means only for individual citizenship was important, but for all other type of SSC, residential status is important. They cannot accept this, electoral trust cannot accept donation from. Can they accept from foreign company? Not at all. Can they accept from foreign sources? Not at all. Can they accept from government company? Remember, if government company giving donation to the political electoral trust itself give it to the political party, it would be kind of circulation of the money. No, they cannot accept the donation from government company. Can they accept donation from electoral trust itself? No, cannot accept, because one electoral trust getting exemption. Another electoral trust will also get exemption. It is again got a loophole forming, so you cannot accept from other electoral trust. When you are donating to electoral trust, again 80 GGB, again 80 GGC will be here. So now we have completed AMT ka revision, we have completed political party ka revision, we have completed electoral trust ka revision. After this, we have to move to another type of trust. Now, what was that trust all about? First is my business trust. Now, what about a business trust? See, this is my unit holder, this is my business trust, and this is my SPV. A business trust would invest in SPV, and unit holder, this is you. Unit holder will invest in my business trust. Remember, unit holder business trust mein invest karta hai, business trust will invest in my SPV. When my business trust invest in SPV, there is actually an exchange. What is that exchange all about? The exchange is business trust will give them the unit and SPV will give them the shares. Which shares? Equity shares they will be giving. Now, this is nothing but an exchange, and this exchange pay this is not a kind of transfer. That means no capital gain will be applicable because it is not a transfer. Where it has been given in your capital gain ka chapter, what is not considered as transfer. So this is not a transfer. But suppose this business trust has sold the shares. Suppose this business trust has sold the shares. In that case, it will be considered as transfer. Suppose this SPV sold these units. In that case, it is a transfer, but this exchange is not considered to be transfer. Now, when this SPV will give dividend to the business trust, why it will be given dividend? Because business trust is holding the shares of the SPV. When this SPV will give the dividend to the business trust, in that case, they have said that entirely exempt. Why? Because we have done the concept of dividend. That dividend is now taxable in the hands of shareholders. So this is the shareholder, but they are saying that dividend is exempt in the hands of business trust. Then we came to know one more thing. What was that? Now this business trust will distribute this dividend to whom? The unit holder. When this dividend is distributed by business trust to the unit holder, it might be possible taxable in the hands of unit holder. If my SPV has paid at 22% and if my SPV has paid at 30%, why 22% for SPV? Because there is a concept we have done in rate of tax that if it is section 115BAA, right, if it is 115BAA and SPV, that is being a domestic company, has opted for it, in that case it will be paying taxes at 22%. In that case already SPV is paying at concessional rate, so we will, that means department will want a recovery from unit holder. If SPV paid taxes at 22%, then dividend is taxable in the hands of unit holder. But if this SPV not paying taxes at 20%, 22, but paying taxes at 30%, it will be exempt in the hands of unit holders. Remember that concept? Now, second, after dividend, it was the concept that dividend okay taxable in the hands of unit holder. Now I am concerned if unit holders are liable to pay taxes on dividend, that what would be the rate? If it is non-resident, the rate would be different. If it is resident, the rate was different. If it is non-resident, I have told you one concept ki actually the business trust ka concept was only and only for the purpose of non-resident. For them, they will charge lesser rate. But when resident is coming, they say, I will charge normal rate because actually the concept was not for you. If you remember, हमने वो एक concept किया था जिसके basis पे we were able to learn all the rates. So for non-resident, actually it would be taxable at 10% only because it is for you. But resident, it is not for you, so it is taxable at a normal rate. Okay, you are taxing at normal rate, but the person, business trust, has to deduct TDS also. Why? Because it is taxable in the hands of unit holders, so TDS would also be deducted. So what about my TDS? See, for non-resident, we don't want that return wala cheeze. So whatever is the tax rate, that will be your TDS ka rate. Because tum return file karo, ye sab nahi chahiye. Whatever we want taxes from you, utna hi TDS de ke khatam karo. But when it comes to resident, we want you to file the taxes, file the return. So it was again 10% here. क्यों? यहाँ पे तो तुम्हारा tax rate normal है, but only TDS we will deduct is 10%. Remember the concept? Now, after this, again there is a concept that now my business trust will distribute unit holders what? From SPV, it will get some interest. And remember, this keyword is very important. When an SPV distributing business trust interest, there is nothing but pass-through status. There is pass-through status. Now, due to this pass-through status, this is exempt in the hands of business trust. What does it mean? SPV distributing what interest to business trust? Exempt. Now this business trust will distribute unit holders what? This will be distributed to unit holders. Now is it taxable? Yes, it is always taxable in the hands of unit holder. Remember? Now if my unit holder is resident, if my unit holder is non-resident, tax rate depend on the resident and non-resident. If my unit holder is resident, the tax rate on interest was again normal rate. Why normal rate? Because this concept of business trust was not for you resident, therefore we will charge higher rate. But this is actually concept for my non-resident, therefore only 5% interest ka taxes will be there. We don't want my non-resident should pay the taxes, therefore what we are doing? We are doing this thing कि TDS का rate will be same as the rate of your टैक्स ऑफ नॉन रेसिडेंट. जो टैक्स है वही टीडीएस का रेट, रिटर्न वगैरह फाइल करने का नहीं चाहिए. When it comes to my resident, tax rate is this. So what is the TDS rate? We already told you we want you to file the return to pay the 10%. That is your TDS ka rate. Remember? Now, again there is kind of business trust that is having its own property. an owned property given by business trust on rent. And when this rental income is distributed to resident and when rental income is distributed to non-resident. Now they say whether when it is rental income and that is REIT wala business trust, real estate investment trust, that is business trust having its own infrastructure and that infrastructure given on rent. So they are saying whether giving to non-resident, whether giving to resident doesn't matter. For both of them, it is taxable at normal rate. My rental income will always be taxable at normal rate for both of them. But I don't want a non-resident to pay the return rate. I don't want to file them return. So the TDS rate will be same. That is normal rate will be TDS. But eventually I want one thing. A resident, you have to file the return. So TDS will be 10%. If you can just concise it, for a resident, always the rate of tax is normal rate. Whatever is the case, the normal rate is tax, and whatever is the case, TDS is always 10% for them. But when it comes to my non-resident, I will apply this rule. TDS ka rate is equal to tax rate. This is the rule. Wherever their tax rate is this, TDS is always equal to their tax rate. This is nothing but crux of your business trust. Okay. So this was the concept. Now, it is not possible that the business trust is having interest income only. It is having only rental income, only having your dividend income. What about other income? So when it comes to business trust, it is having long-term capital gain. It is having 111A ka short-term capital gain and other income. So when it comes to itna wala, shall I apply 20%? Shall I apply 15%? And when it comes to other income, they are required to pay taxes at maximum marginal rate. This is the whole sole concept of your business trust. Now moving to my investment fund and securitization trust. I hope you are able to recall everything. Okay, I am just hoping that way. Now, when it comes to my investment fund and when it comes to my securitization trust, I have to go hand in hand. Why? When it comes to investment fund, entire income of my investment fund is exempt. Entire income is exempt except PGBP. That means PGBP was taxable in the hands of my investment fund. But when I talk about my securitization trust, entire income exempt. Is there any exception? No exception at all. Entire income exempt in the hands of my securitization trust. When it comes to, that means unit holders, they will also have investors. So I'm calling them as unit holder. When they will distribute the entire income to the unit holder, investment fund distributing entire income to unit holder. So entire income taxable in their hand except PGBP. Why PGBP? Because on PGBP already investment fund has paid the taxes. Double taxation is not possible. What is about securitization fund? Entire income exempt from them, so it will be taxable in the hands of unit holders. So entire income will be taxable in the hands of unit holder. This was the point. What are the common point of both of them, whether it is investment fund, whether it is securitization fund? Investment fund earned 100 crore. They have also earned 100 crore, but distributed only 80 crore. They have also distributed 80 crore. So whether overall distributed or not distributed, it will be deemed to be credited and paid. If they distribute 80 crore, still whether it is investment fund, whether it is securitization fund, it is considered that overall 100 crore has been credited and paid. That means on accrual basis, it will be taxable in the hands of unit holder. What if, ma'am, actually when it is paid? In that case, on receipt basis, it would not be taxable again. Remember? Now investment fund is earned in a proportion, like investment fund has earned this 100 crore in this way. 20 crore earned from PGBP, 30 crore earned from income from other source, Then another 50 crore they have earned from, let's say, house property. Now this will be the same proportion from unit holders also, whether it is investment fund or whether it is securitization trust. Whatever the proportion of earning by investment fund or securitization trust, that will be the same proportion for unit holders also. Understood this thing also? Okay. Now, when it comes to my investment fund, as I am saying you, ki what is taxable? PGBP ka income is taxable in the hands of investment fund. Now I have to check if my investment fund is a company, if my investment fund is a firm, and if my investment fund is other than company, other than firm, then in this case it will be taxable at 30%, right? And in this case, it will be taxable at maximum marginal rate. Now, what about this securitization wala concept? Always taxable in the hands of unit holder. If it is my resident individual, remember, if it is resident individual, if it is resident other pay, that means company, etc. And if it is non-resident and foreign company. For resident individual, it was 25%, individual as well as HUF. For other pay, it was 30%. And for non-resident and foreign company, what is the rate? Normal or MMR? Normal rate. Okay? MMR is the concept only in investment fund. So where it comes to this, it is 25-30 rate in force, 25-30 rate in force, and there it is 30% and MMR wala concept. Now, here they have to deduct the TDS again. What was the rate of TDS? 10% was the rate of TDS. So this is the concept of securitization trust done. Now, one more concept is investment fund. Investment fund was saying, see, I am the one who is paying taxes at PGBP. That means when it comes to distribution of loss, because from 31st March 2019, my investment fund now is in position to distribute losses also. So this was an amendment. When this amendment comes, this amendment has been from 31st March 2019, that investment fund is required to distribute the losses that it has earned. Now understand one thing. They said that on PGBP, I am the one paying the loss. I am the one who is paying the taxes. So we will not distribute the losses of PGBP. That means when it is other income, would we distribute the losses? Yes, we will distribute the losses, but from 31st March 2019. Now on 31st March 2019, two scenarios. We have accumulated losses. Accumulated losses of, let's say, 2016, 17, 18. Itne ka accumulated losses we have. On this date, we have to distribute this loss. The condition on this date, as on this date, who are the unit holders? We have to see. Unit holders on this date will get the losses, only accumulated losses. Then what about after 2019, 2020, may we incurred losses? Again, we might incur in 2021. In that case, see, at least for 12 months holding should be there. At least 12-month holding should be there. Now, whenever you are distributing the losses, in any of the case, whenever you are distributing the losses, point number one, first set off is necessary. First set off of all the losses is necessary. Remember one thing, in question we have done this thing. They have given you house property ka loss. They have given you income from other source ka loss. Remember that example. In house property ka loss, you can set off with anything. You can set off with anything. House property ka loss, anything. Income from other source, in that we have taken business income, so you can set off. I'm just discussing the example. The adjustment they have given an example. They have also given us the capital gain ka loss. So if the capital gain ka loss is given, if it is long-term capital gain ka loss, short-term capital gain ka loss. Long-term always set off with long-term, short-term could set off with long-term as well as short-term capital gain. Remember, so this was the concept we have used in examples. So example ka adjustment just I have discussed. Now, first you do the set off, then second, whatever is remaining, on second, whatever is remaining, that should be distributed to whom? The unit holder. Now, when you are distributing to unit holder on 31st March 2019, these losses will be carried forward only for remaining year. You can carry forward the losses only for remaining year. That means accumulated since 2016, 17, 18. So this loss of 2016 possible to be carried forward, suppose for 5 years, being it a loss that could be carried forward for 8 years. So already 1, 2, 3 years they have carried forward. So now unit holder will carry forward it for only 5 years. This loss 6 years, this loss 7 years. Remember, only remaining period you can carry forward the losses. This completes the concept of your investment fund. This complete the complete picture of your investment fund. So right now AMT done, right now political, electoral, business trust, investment fund, securitization done. Apart from this, what we have done, dividend wala concept. Okay. Now what about the dividend wala concept? When I talk about the dividend wala concept, it was earlier possible. Earlier, since when I talk about 1997, before 1997, actually the dividend was taxable in the hands of shareholders only. Okay. But after 1997, they did that dividend would be taxable in the hands of company. Then again from 2020, they have said this ki dividend would be taxable in the hands of again shareholders. So we have understood this thing ki when this concept existed earlier also, so there were various case law that revived due to again revival of the concept. Concept वापस से क्या हुआ applicable हुआ, तो there were some case laws that were revived as well as there were certain sections that got revived. So case law that got revived we have to see, section that got revived we have to see. So the case law as well as section we have to see. Now the case law was Western Private Limited, Western Eastern Private Limited, and section that got revived was 80M wala section got revived. Remember? Now, first of all, dividend. What is dividend? I have to check. Dividend could be your proposed dividend. Dividend could be your interim dividend. Dividend could be your final dividend. Okay, dividend could be final, dividend could be interim, dividend could be proposed, no, dividend could be deemed dividend. There were 3 types of dividend. So when it comes to final dividend, when I should tax that final dividend, in which year I should tax that final dividend? So final dividend was taxable in the year, I forgot it. What was the final dividend? Tell me.
Date of declaration.
Yes, AGM date. The date when in which it was declared in AGM. The date when the AGM was done and declared in AGM, that was the date of final dividend. Okay, that was the date of final dividend, not at all a concern. But suppose it is what? It is 2021 and on 28th of February it is declared. So it will be counted in that year. If it is declared in 2022, that is 1st April, then it will be counted in next year. That means the year in which dividend AGM is held and it was declared, in that year, it will form part of my total income. When it comes to interim dividend unconditionally made available. The concept of interim dividend is when it is made unconditionally available. So when it is unconditionally made available, it is that year in which it will be taxable in your total income. What about deemed dividend? Deemed dividend when it is distributed or paid, whichever is earlier. Declared, distributed, paid. So this is distribution, that is paid, and this is declared. Whichever is earlier. Declared, obviously पहले ही declare होगा, तो पहले declare हुआ तो that date. If they have just distributed it, so then distribution ka date, so you have to see whatever is the distribution date or whatever is the payment date. So this is the dividend. Now dividend is taxable under which head? So generally the dividend will be taxable under income from other source. But one exception, that is it could be taxable in PGBP because of this Western Eastern Private Limited ka case law. That case law says if a person is having a speculative business, that means he is having the business of dealing in stock. Stock means share as a stock. And he has brought forward losses. Now the concern of the person was that dividend is taxable in income from other source. I have speculative business का loss as a dividend loss, but you say कि speculative business का loss could be set off with speculative business का income. That means मेरा तो कभी set off ही नहीं होगा क्योंकि वो तो other source में चला गया. So for only those people having speculative business ka loss, this dividend would be considered as your PGBP income, so that speculative business loss could be set off with speculative business income. In general, it is taxable under income from other source. Now, ma'am, when it is taxable under income from other source, we know there is a section number 57 where you get all the expenses ka deduction in relation to this income. So here, would we get income ka deduction here? Any expense ka deduction here? No, not at all possible. But one proviso given in section number 57 itself, that yes, you could get the interest ka expense wala deduction you can get. Matlab allowance of expense in relation to interest. But here also there are certain provision. Now, what are the provision? When it comes to interest, this interest ka expense is allowed, but not overall allowed. It would be allowed only 30%, right?
20%.
20% of interest income. 20%
income.
Mute. 20% of interest income. Or. Now 20% of interest income or dividend received or dividend distributed. Now tell me. I forgot. Dividend received or distributed. और में क्या है? चलो. What is in or? 20% of interest income or
Dividend received.
Obviously, dividend income. Dividend income. Are you getting what is the mistake over here? You are mixing ATM. ATM mix कर दिया. It is
20%
what?
of dividend income only.
First of all, it is not interest. First of all, it is dividend income ka 20% or interest expense, actual expense, whichever is less. Remember, it is okay, dividend ka 20%, that is just a benchmark. Now you have to compare it with the actual interest ka expense. Now, second thing about interest, it is only allowed to resident. It is only for resident. That means non-resident will never get this interest ke expense wala deduction. Now, ma'am, ये interest किस पे मिल रहा है? If you take loan and on taking loan, ये loan is utilized for purchase of share, then you will get this interest ka deduction. Remember? Now, this is allowed only to the resident. Reason? Because when it comes to TDS rate or tax rate, specifically if I talk about tax rate, when it comes to tax rate of resident, it is normal rate. They are getting dividend taxable at normal rate. But when it comes to non-resident under section 195, they have given specifically that their dividend income is taxable at flat 20%. Then where they are giving lesser tax rate, so we won't allow them in expenses cut allowance, but my resident is paying at normal rate, so they will get the expenses ka allowance. Now, after this interest, they have said that hota kya hai, when it comes to dividend distribution and now shareholder required to pay the tax. Now, suppose Reliance is a company distributing dividend to subsidiary. This subsidiary distributing dividend to another subsidiary. This subsidiary distributing to another subsidiary and ultimately to the shareholders. Now it is going ultimately to shareholder. ऐसे तो first time tax, second tax, third tax, ऐसे तो tax on tax, double triple taxes on dividend. So for that they say, if a domestic company have in its gross total income, if a domestic company in its gross total income has dividend received from whom? Dividend received from another domestic company, dividend received from business trust. Remember, business trust can distribute dividend abhi kiya na unit holders ko. So if it is distributing dividend and dividend is received from domestic company or business trust or foreign company, in that case, whatever dividend distributed, now distributed should be actual distribution, but in question you might find distribution word is not there, declared word bhi diya to consider it distributed. So dividend distributed or dividend received, whichever is less. that will be allowed. But when should I distribute this dividend? At least return filing ki due date, ROI ki due date ki 1 month before, at least 1 month prior to the return filing date, you should distribute this dividend. Then one more thing we have discussed. Now, what was that one more thing? That suppose, ma'am, my domestic company, it is receiving dividend from a foreign company. Now, this foreign company, suppose my domestic company having only 25% voting power in foreign company, and now here my domestic company is having more than 25% का voting power, that is 26%. ठीक है? That means here I am going to talk about 115BBD. My domestic company receiving dividend from a foreign company, that means domestic company having shareholding in the foreign company. If it is equal to 25% or less than 25%, in this case, 115BBD would not apply. 115BBD would not be applicable. In that case, my dividend will be taxable at normal rate. Why, ma'am, normal rate? Because 115BBD not applicable. Ma'am, what is 115BBD? When a Indian company, that is domestic company, has 26% or more ka voting power in foreign company, 26% or more का voting power there in foreign company, a concessional rate का 15% rate they have to pay. लेकिन if they are paying at concessional rate, no expense का deduction, no deduction will be allowed, no expenses will be allowed. Then would my domestic company, if receiving dividend from the foreign company, would it get that interest wala deduction? No. Why? Because no expenses will be allowed. So in this case only, my domestic company, when receiving dividend from a foreign company covered under 115BBD, no expense ka deduction will be allowed, means nothing, not even interest. Why? Because we have seen here, na, interest is allowed only to a resident. But here, in spite my domestic company being resident, not at all possible. Why? Due to this 115BBD ka this clause. But ma'am, would ATM will be applicable to domestic company? Sure. Why? ATM is neither an expense nor a deduction. It is a allowance. It is just an allowance because they want to avoid double taxation. Okay. Now, when it comes to your TDS ka rate, what would be the TDS ka rate when someone is distributing dividend and taxes are there? So you have to see TDS ka rate under 194DA. There, D in dividend, they have given 10% ka TDS ka rate. That too, if 2,500 is your dividend ka rate, no dividend pe tax is there. So we will link it later on with the TDS also, but there is again a concept of TDS that is linked to dividend. Now, after this, we have discussed one more thing. What are the deemed dividend? So according to deemed dividend 222, A, B, C, D, E. E is for distribution of asset. Whatever asset you are distributing to the shareholder, whether it is equity shareholder, whether it is not equity shareholder, that is preference shareholder, up to the extent of accumulated profit, whether the profit capitalized or whether the profit is not capitalized, it will be considered deemed dividend. When it comes to B, B for what? B for either your bonus given to the preference shareholders only. Bonus to the preference shareholder, that means shares you are giving bonus shares, or you are giving deposit certificate, debenture stock, deposit stock, all that if you give to a shareholder. Here they have used the word shareholder, but later on what they have did, they say if you are even distributing the equity shares to the shareholders, they have excluded it from the definition of deemed dividend. Later on they have excluded. So whatever you are distributing, in this case also it is considered to be deemed dividend. Then it was again to the extent of accumulated profit, whether capitalized or not capitalized. When it comes to C, C for closure of the company. On the closure, that is liquidation of the company, distributing to any shareholder. Again, later on, they have excluded. So if there is distribution to any shareholder to the extent of accumulated profit, again, deemed dividend. D is for reduction in the share capital. So where there is reduction in share capital, again to the extent of accumulated profit, again it is considered deemed dividend. E was related to my extra benefit. What was that extra benefit? If you are providing loan if you are providing what? Loan directly to the shareholder, that is beneficial shareholder. Now who is my beneficial shareholder? Having 10% or more का voting power, ठीक है. Or giving loan to a concern. Now the concern is, it could be HUF, yes, it could be LLP, yes, it could be firm, yes, it could be company, मतलब any concern you are giving loan. Now you are giving loan to any concern for the benefit of this shareholder. Again, either this concern or shareholder, based on the contradiction, are required to pay the taxes because it is deemed a dividend. Now, ma'am, if you are paying to any concern in which this shareholder has substantial interest. Now, what is that substantial interest? That means this shareholder is getting 20% or more ka income or profit sharing from that concern. That means this shareholder is having substantial interest over here. So 20% ka either income or share of profit if you are getting. Then after this, or giving loan to a person on behalf of this shareholder but for the benefit of this shareholder. So giving to other person on behalf of this shareholder but for the benefit of this shareholder, again it is considered to be deemed dividend. Now 222 A, B, C, D, E done. Now what is not considered to be dividend? If it is given in ordinary course of business, means your substantial income is loan ka income. Priya, your substantial income is your loan ka income. Are bhai, jab your substantial interest is income is loan ka income, so it is ordinary course of business mein loan. Then it is not considered your deemed dividend. Ma'am, what about advances? If I give any kind of advance, because loan and advance written in your section, loan and advance written. What if, ma'am, I am giving advances? Are ruko bhai, it is advances. So advances if related to your trade advance, so trade advance is not counted here. That is ordinary course of business, so that is not considered to be deemed dividend. Then overall, what is not dividend? First of all, it is just a net off. Net off what? Actually, you have given a loan. Now you are required to give dividend and set off of that loan and dividend. So set off of loan and dividend, that is okay. That is not considered to be deemed dividend. Ma'am, what about buyback of shares? So if you are getting your shares buyback. So buyback of shares as per section 68, it is also not considered to be your deemed dividend. So if you have done these two things, if it is in ordinary course of business, if it is trade advance, these are all not considered to be deemed dividend. And again, if you are distributing equity shares holder under C and your B, again it is not considered, C and D, it is not considered to be your deemed dividend. So this was the entire concept of your dividend chapter. Then what we have done apart from this, we have done this LLP ka provision and we have done this AOP ka provision. Giving you only 5 minutes to recall the topics we have done, not even 5 minutes, 2 minutes to recall topic, then AOP, then your LLP. And if you can just understand this thing, this was a 12 days ka hard work. And you can concise it in only 1.5 hours. And the way I am writing, am I writing whole sentences? Only the keywords. And that is the basic thing I want you every time you revise. Don't just read the book hatao, write it down, then check what are the pointers missing every time. And at least 10 revision I want like this. At least 10. And already I think we have done 2-3 revisions already. Okay? So 2 minutes.
You have to write the topic or just recall it?
Just recall. Whatever topics we have done, just a recall. Just taking break for drinking water, nothing else. Harsha, are you there in class? वीडियो ऑफ करके नहीं पढ़ने का. डन. ठीक है. नाउ निकी, आकांक्षा, जल्दी आओ वापस. Now on LLP and AOP, first of all covering what? Nothing but LLP. Yesterday we have done this LLP, day before yesterday. Now what is LLP? If I talk about LLP, if I talk about firm, the first pointer we have did is they are taxable at 30%. What about ma'am surcharge? Surcharge based on your total income, right? Then would they be? Health and education says, Ari, don't even ask because it is applicable to everyone. Don't even ask this concept. Then fourth, firm 30% total income. What about man special income? So special income will be taxable at special rate. Okay, itna done. Now, they have so told one thing: when a firm is distributing to its partner the share of income, it will be always exempt in the hands of partner. Ma'am, why? Because share of profit means already taxes have been paid by firm, therefore it will be exempt. Now my very important point is that when ma'am firm is distributing what? Remuneration. When firm is distributing interest, there is a section that is section 40B that would be applicable over here. Very important, very, very important. When it comes to remuneration, when it comes to interest, 40B ka concept is applicable. But one exception with respect to only interest, when 40B ka concept will not apply. What was that exception? If this person is in individual capacity, this is an individual, but getting interest in individual capacity only. Again, this person is individual, but getting interest in representative capacity. So my 40B, in spite actually the person is same, just the name is different. That is, he is an individual, say Ram, and registered in the name of Ram Limited. That means company. He is individual. If receiving interest in the name of, that is, check is made in the name of Ram only, then individual receiving interest in the name of individual, 40B will definitely apply. But when this individual receiving in representative capacity, when that check of interest is made in the name of Ram Limited, the person is same, but receiving interest in representative capacity, now 40B not apply because considered it is a different person altogether. Now, what about ma'am remuneration, interest? Okay, we understood 40B will not apply in case the representative capacity and individual capacity interest is received. Ma'am, is it applicable for remuneration also? No. That exception is only with respect to interest, not with respect to remuneration. Okay. Now, ma'am, what is given in 40B? In 40B, first of all, they are saying if you are distributing remuneration or if you are distributing interest, whatever you are distributing, common thing is that there should be partnership deed. Compulsory, we need what? Partnership deed. What if ma'am remuneration? Second is whether it is remuneration, whether it is interest, it should be mentioned in your partnership deed. Two common things. Now third, remuneration should be compulsory paid to whom? It should be compulsorily paid to your working partner. That is compulsory that you should pay it to your working partner. And what about interest? Are interest you can pay to a working partner also, non-working, because loan to bank se bhi lete hain. So it could be to working partner also or not. That means other than working partner also you can pay. Ma'am, is there any limit on remuneration? See, distribution का कोई limit नहीं है. Whatever you want, you can distribute. But whatever they will be allowing, that is based on your book profit. On the basis of book profit, remuneration is allowed. It is allowed based on what? Book profit. Now, is there anything given in interest? Obviously given. Only up to 12% you can give, whether it is on loan or whether it is on capital. Understanding the difference. Now, when it comes to book profit, and when it comes to book profit, point number 1. If your book profit is up to 3 lakh, so on first 3 lakh, it would be 90% or 1,50,000, whichever is lower,
Higher.
whichever is higher. इसका एक interpretation है. The interpretation is even if you don't have book profit and you have book losses, still at least 1,50,000 का deduction you will get. Why मैम? अरे भाई losses मतलब जीरो का 90%, आजकल तो जीरो ही आता है मुझे लगता है, तो जीरो और 1,50,000 whichever is higher, 1,50,000 is higher. तो even you have losses, still you will get 1,50,000 का deduction. Then after 3 lakh के ऊपर whatever is the remaining book profit, on that it is 65%, right?
60%.
60%. On that you will get exactly 60%. कोई whichever is higher lower का कोई concept is not there. So this is based on book profit. Ma'am, suppose we have got 2,70,000. ये 3 lakh का 90% we have calculated this. Suppose we got 3,70,000. Now actual remuneration paid by us is 4,20,000. Actually we have paid 4,20,000, but on the basis of this book profit, benchmark is 3,70,000. So would I get 4,20,000? No, it is whichever is less. Now I got the answer 3,50,000. Now my actual expense is only 3 lakh. अरे बोला ना, whichever is less you will get. That means, in fact, after calculating this benchmark, compare it with your actual expenses. This was the crux of your LLP or firm, the most important part. Ma'am, I don't know how to calculate the book profit. So for the calculation of book profit, take your net PGBP ka income. Whatever PGBP income you have calculated, take that and add back remuneration. Arey kyun? Arey, we won't allow whatever you have given. We will allow according to this calculation, therefore add back. This is nothing. Your book profit, in other words, net PGBP income before remuneration ka deduction. Can I say this, Priya? Net profit of PGBP before remuneration ka deduction. Possible? सही बोला मैंने? बोलो प्रिया. PGBP income before remuneration is your book profit. Yes or no? प्रिया का ध्यान का है.
कॉल आ रहा था.
वही तुम्हारी बॉडी लैंग्वेज बताती है कि कब तुम्हारा ध्यान है, कब तुम्हारा ध्यान नहीं है. डोंट इवन थिंक तुम ऐसे बैठे हो तो मुझे लग रहा है तुम लोग पढ़ रहे हो. ठीक है, इट इज करेक्ट. एंड मोहित, योर आंसर आल्सो रॉन्ग. अरे पीजीबीपी बिफोर रेम्यूनरेशन इज तो बुक प्रॉफिट ना. रेम्यूनरेशन मत दो, एड बैक करने का मतलब है बिफोर रेम्यूनरेशन का डिडक्शन. तो दिस वाज माय बुक प्रॉफिट. नाउ व्हेन इट कम्स टू असेसमेंट ऑफ फर्म, when it comes to what? Assessment of firm. Arey bhai, when it comes to assessment of firm, what was required? My partnership deed was required. PSR ratio should be mentioned in my partnership deed and it should be annexed with my first return. If any of the condition not fulfilled, then interest हो या remuneration entirely disallow. अरे एक मिनट, if firm को ये disallow कर दिया मतलब firm is paying taxes on it, then it will be exempt in the hands of partner. But if it is allowed to firm is not paying taxes on it. If it is allowed, then it will be taxable in the hands of partner. Remember that point. So when it is interest is allowed, interest here, interest and your remuneration. If here disallowed, if it is disallowed, they are paying taxes. Then it is exempt in the hands of partner. If it is allowed, they are not paying taxes, then it is taxable in the hands of partner. Done. Now after this, there was again a concept. Ma'am, अब कौन सा concept था? There was again a concept related to what? Constitution of firm and succession of firm. Ma'am, what is constitution, succession? Then same partners are there. एक का आना हुआ, एक का जाना हुआ. Either addition of a partner or retirement of a partner. That means that is constitution of firm, or change in PSR ratio, that is also constitution of firm. But when it is succession, not even a single old partner is continuing. ABC was partner, now EFG is partner, that is succession of firm. When it is succession of firm, you have to file 2 returns. When it is succession of firm, you have to file how many returns? 2 returns you have to file. When it is constitution of firm, 1 return. Why? Because constitution to वही है. Succession में there was some other firm, now it is another firm. When it is about liability, see, they are jointly severally liable, but only for the year when I was the partner. But I came as a partner in partnership firm, and in that year only the firm has dissolved. Now I am liable to be I am liable for all the years, whether I was there as a partner in that year or not. All the previous year के लिए I would be liable, because I और dissolution हुआ तो पूरे years के लिए I will be liable. Ma'am, if it is LLP, would it be like that कि limited liability? Na, for the purpose of income tax, still they have unlimited liability. So this was nothing but your revision. Revision of what? This was revision of your AOP.
मैम अनअब्सॉर्ब्ड डेप्रिसिएशन वाला भी तो पार्ट है इसमें कंस्टिट्यूशन.
Yes. अब एक और पार्ट हमारा क्या था? अनअब्सॉर्ब्ड डेप्रिसिएशन रिलेटेड. Now what was there in unabsorbed depreciation? When I talk about unabsorbed depreciation related, in unabsorbed depreciation they have given, it's not only about unabsorbed depreciation, it is about being in a partner. We are the partners, but partners are distributed shares of profit. Okay, shares of profit you distribute, but when it comes to distribution of losses, when it comes to what? Distribution of losses, then in case of distribution of losses, who can carry forward these losses? The losses could be carried forward by partners. Can firm carry forward the loss? Yes, firm can carry forward the loss, but only of the partner. उसी partner का forward कर सकते हैं वो losses. That partner is alive. When a partner has retired, now firm cannot carry forward the losses of a retired partner. When partner has died, firm cannot carry forward the losses of died partner. But if the legal representative of the partner who has died has become partner in my firm, then dead partner जो है, the partner who has died, उसका भी क्या होगा? Losses they can carry forward. Ma'am, what if it is unabsorbed depreciation? In fact, it is unabsorbed depreciation. In fact, unabsorbed depreciation. Still, there is a concept that whether it is death of the loss, it is retirement of the partner, whatever it is, unabsorbed depreciation could be carried forward by the firm irrespective of any condition. So, unabsorbed depreciation, so you can carry forward. But when it comes to what? Losses, retirement can never carry forward. Debt. So if person is dead, legal representative partner, then it could be carry forwarded. This completes my LLP ka complete revision. LLP or firm, whatever you call it. Now comes to AOP BOI. When it comes to my AOP BOI ka concept, what is my AOP BOI ka concept? I have told you AOP is nothing but it is association of person. What do you mean by person? Person can be individual, person can be HUF, person can be firm, person can be company. That means different person we know. That is association of person is your AOP. Then what about BOI? Only individual forming the group, that is known as body of individual. Now when it comes to AOP, and AOP is BOI only. Why? Because AOP is association of person and person is individual. So BOI is always a AOP. But every AOP is BOI? ऐसा नहीं. क्यों? क्योंकि BOI जो है, BOI individual है. जरूरी नहीं वो association of person बोलोगे उसको. Am I saying correct? Confusion should be corrected here. Every BOI is AOP. Every BOI is AOP. Why? Because AOP क्या है? Association of person and person individual भी तो होता है. तो हर एक BOI AOP होती है. But it doesn't mean कि हर एक body of individual को आप क्या बोल पाओगे? हर एक body of individual, हर एक AOP को आप BOI बोल पाओगे? ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है. तो every AOP cannot be said to be BOI, but every BOI could be a AOP. अब होता क्या है? When it comes to AOP, we have done one thing. When it comes to AOP, you know the shares. आपको shares पता है कि किसके कितने shares हैं, and you do not know the shares. When you know the share and all are individual, everyone is an individual. Everyone is individual, and basic exemption limit is their income. Either up to basic exemption limit or less than basic exemption limit, they are having income. In that case, AOP का टैक्स रेट क्या होगा? स्लैब रेट. बट मैम ऑल आर इंडिविजुअल राइट नाउ. But even a single having more than basic exemption limit, now everyone will be taxable at maximum marginal rate. Ma'am, now all are not individual. It is individual plus company. It is individual plus company. Now company is either domestic company or company could be my foreign company. Remember, if it is domestic company, maximum marginal rate for domestic company and others also maximum marginal rate. Why? Because एक भी अगर extra पे आया तो everyone taxable at MMR. Ma'am, what if it is a foreign company? So foreign company taxable at higher rate. Why, ma'am? Because we know the share. Foreign का कितना उसको higher rate पे taxable करेंगे. Ma'am, what about other? Other will be taxable at maximum marginal rate. Ma'am, we don't know the shares. हमको तो पता ही नहीं है किसका क्या है. तो always MMR का concept would be there. Now, when it comes to MMR का concept, there was one more thing. What was that? If my AOP is chargeable to tax at MMR and if my AOP is chargeable to tax at slab rate. If it is chargeable to tax at MMR, then the share of, now listen it properly, I will link it to MAT also. Now, when share of AOP के member, would it be taxable in the hands of AOP के member? No. अरे already AOP ने maximum marginal rate पे taxes pay किया है हर्षा. Already it is taxable at maximum marginal rate. Exempt. Why? Double कितना tax लोगे? उधर MMR ले लिया, अब इनसे भी लोगे नहीं. But when it is taxable at slab, my AOP taxable at slab, in that case, I have to apply the concept of rebate. Remember rebate का concept. मेरा total income इतना, that is AOP के member का total income इतना, तो tax liability was कितना? When share was इतना, तो उसका tax liability कितना? तो whatever tax liability coming here, that will be allowed as rebate. Other than that, every almost पूरा tax तुमको pay करना है. बस इतने का हम rebate तुमको allow करेंगे. Reason क्या है? भाई here you have taken 2,50,000 का benefit. तो कुछ पार्ट पे तो तुमने टैक्स पे किया ही नहीं है, तो इतने का थोड़ा बहुत रिबेट दे दिया. अदरवाइज यू हैव टू पे द टैक्सेस. देन आफ्टर दिस AOPBY सेम कॉन्सेप्ट. AOPBY रिसीविंग whatever they are receiving in capacity individual, then 40BA not applicable. Remember what 40BA का concept in AOPBY also. What was that? Interest, bonus, commission, whatever you are paying, and while computing PGBP, nothing will be allowed. Everything disallowed under section 40BA. 40B is in LLP form. 40BA, A for association, so 40BA is in AOPBY. Ma'am, there was a concept related to interest. You are paying interest, you are receiving interest. That net off is disallowed. That net off is disallowed. तुम दे रहे हो, तुम ले रहे हो, that net off completely disallowed. बाकी का other को दे रहे हो तो that will be allowed. Now, one more concept. It is only related to PGBP calculation. Other source में मत लगाना इसको कि other source का income you are calculating, not giving any deduction, not giving any expense. No. Only in the case of PGBP, this is something that is applicable. So this was the concept of your AOP and your BOI. Main thing was your tax rate here. सबसे main क्या था यहाँ पे tax rate. So we have completed AMT. We have completed that securitization trust, business trust, your investment fund. We have completed dividend का revision. We have completed one more revision, that AOP, BOI, LLP. इतने 7 chapters का and political, electoral that we have done. So almost what we have done till now, that is being completed. Done. I have to link MAT over here in AOPBY. Remember, now in MAT का concept we have done. There was one more point. What was that? MAT का क्या था? Doctor कहते हैं rest in peace to AOPBY. What was that point of AOPBY? कि if the company is receiving share of income from AOPBY, in MAT के book profit के calculation, add back that expense related to share of income of AOPBY and subtract the income. We will not tax it. Why they will not tax it? Understand? अरे भाई AOPBY is giving share of income to a company. That means company is member of AOPBY. And remember, when a company is member of AOPBY, whether domestic, whether foreign company, it is taxable at higher rate or MMR. Either at higher rate, either at MMR. जब already they are getting taxed at such a higher rate, now again you will apply MAT on them. So therefore this is exempt. Again one more concept. अरे भाई, when company is getting AOP interest share of income from AOPBY, MMR की rate पे tax है, तो already the share is exempt in the hands of unit holders ना. Why? Remember, उधर MMR पे लग रहा है, तो it is exempt in the hands of unit holder, क्योंकि already MMR पे company ने tax pay कर दिया. You don't have to pay the taxes. So that was concept related to your MAT वाला part. ठीक है. Then apart from this, what we have done? Then apart from this, we have done residential status, we have done 115BA, we have done 115BAA, we have done 115BAB. So let us come to that also. ठीक है. When I come to the concept of poem, when I come to what the concept of poem, so when I talk about the concept of poem, I'm not now writing it because बहुत सारी बार हमने इसको revise किया है. So can I just speak it? So when it comes to the concept of poem, the concept of poem is applicable only in case of foreign company. When it comes to foreign company, you have to apply this concept only when the turnover is greater than 50 crore. If my foreign company having turnover equal to 50 crore, less than 50 crore, no poem ka concept is applicable. Point number 1, poem ka concept. What is the concept of poem? It is having what? Place of effective management in India. When it comes to place of effective management in India, what is effective management? Are effective management, not day-to-day commercial transaction happening in India. There should be effective management that is here in India. ठीक है. Now how could I check the poem का concept? Point number 1, check the active business should be outside India. If your active business is outside India, done, it is your place of effective management outside India, along with one condition. Majority of the board meeting should also be outside India. Now, I am unable to understand how to calculate this active business outside India. When you want to calculate active business outside India, there are 4 conditions that you have to see. First, see the passive income. Ma'am, what is passive income? अरे भाई, that is not your active income. जो active income नहीं है, that is your passive income. Ma'am, passive income क्या है? PGBP active income. So passive income is income from other source. Passive income is house property, that is rental income. Then passive income is your capital gain income. If out of your total income, you have greater than 50% का your passive income, that means active business चल ही नहीं रहा है, passive ज़्यादा हो रहा है, active तो हो ही नहीं रहा है. So in that case, first condition is out. In order to have poem in India, all the 4 conditions should be satisfied. एक भी satisfied नहीं हुई, खत्म, poem not in India. So first of all, what is active business outside India? Check the passive income. Your total income ka greater than 50%. If you are having passive income, sorry, this is not poem. Active business is not in India. Another thing about passive income, second concept, your associate enterprise. Either you sell to associate enterprise or you purchase from associate enterprise. भाई अपने में खेल रहे हो associate. Dealing with associate is nothing your relative. That is again your passive income. So both the income calculated together form your passive income and calculate from overall total income. What is the second condition? This is your passive income and you have to check it for your active business outside India. Now, mistake over here, don't say that passive income is outside India. अरे पैसिव इनकम तो ओवरऑल देखना है, आउटसाइड इनसाइड कुछ नहीं, ओवरऑल पैसिव इनकम. नाउ व्हेन इट कम्स टू योर एक्सपेंसेस, नाउ पेरोल एक्सपेंस इन रिलेशन टू योर एम्प्लॉय, व्हाटएवर पेरोल एक्सपेंस यू आर डूइंग, 50% शुड बी आउटसाइड इंडिया. आउटसाइड इंडिया के जो एम्प्लॉय हैं उनका पेरोल एक्सपेंस क्या होना चाहिए? आउटसाइड इंडिया 50% से ज्यादा होगा, तभी तो बोलेंगे आउटसाइड इंडिया एक्टिव बिजनेस है. एक्सपेंस अब ज्यादा बाहर हो रहे थे, देन ओनली वी विल से ना कि आउटसाइड इंडिया एक्टिव बिजनेस इज देयर. थर्ड, व्हेन वी हैव टोटल एम्प्लॉय, नाउ दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट. where the total employees situated in India, situated मतलब just a state, or the total employee resident in India. If less than 50% situated resident in India, okay, active business outside India. But this employee include contractual employee also, 3 months का, 4 month का, और payroll वाला employee also. All the employees are included over here. ठीक है? So this is, one was related to passive income, other was payroll expense, third was total employee, and fourth your total asset. If the out of your total asset 50% का less than asset is in India, okay, your active business is outside India. So 4 conditions you have to see. Now after this, 4 चीजें तो हो गई, 4 condition all together, even one missing, poem is in India. Now suppose my majority of the board meeting is outside India, but the person who is taking the decision, they are all resident of India. अच्छा, तो तुम हो रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया, ग्लोबल इनकम तो वैसे ही तुम्हारी टैक्सेबल होनी चाहिए थी. यू आर रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया, यू आर गोइंग आउटसाइड इंडिया जस्ट फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ डिसीजन, substance over form, it will be deemed that you are having poem in India. That means place where decisions are implemented is not important. एक ये भी हमारा रूल है कि कहाँ पे decision implement कर रहे हो वो important नहीं है. Place where decisions are taken, that is important. Suppose my decisions are taken outside India, but all the decisions implemented in India. अरे तो implementation is not important. Where decisions are taken, that is important. Think कि decision कहाँ ले रहे हैं. Again, board meeting all outside India, but लेने वाला तो resident of India है, holding companies in India. That means again resident तो तुम resident ही ले रहे हो decision, बस बाहर जा जाके ले रहे हो, तो that will not play a vital role. Active business in India माना जाएगा, poem is in India. This was the concept of your place of effective management. Understood? Second क्या था? Second was my individual वाला. That was something really tough. मतलब थोड़ा सा बहुत सारी चीजें. तो individual के concept पे जाते हैं. तो when I talk about individual, an individual could be resident, and individual could be a non-resident. When it comes to resident, my individual could be a resident and ordinary resident, and individual could be a non-resident. So individual could be resident and ordinary resident, resident and not an ordinary resident. And in fact, it could be, here I am writing, it could be a non-resident also. Ma'am, when it is an ordinary resident, ग्लोबल इनकम भाई टैक्सेबल, पूरी इनकम टैक्सेबल. मैम रेसिडेंट एंड नॉट इन ऑर्डिनरी रेसिडेंट, वॉट एवर यू रिसीव इन इंडिया, इनकम receive in India taxable, income accrue in India taxable, income deemed to accrue arise in India taxable. But when it is about PGBP, you should have business ka control in India, profession set up in India. What about non-resident? Especially for PGBP, business connection should be in India. Business ka connection should be in India. चलो ठीक है, इतना भी समझ में आया. Now tell me what is business का connection? अरे भाई business connection is nothing. You are having an agent that is totally dependent on you. Whatever you will say, he will do that. Whatever you will say, he will do that. That means he is a dependent agent. He is depending on all your things. कि तुम जो बोलते हो वो करता जाता है, तो dependent agent he is. ठीक है? Ma'am, what if he is an independent agent? अरे तो not working on your terms and condition. That is not a business condition. He should work on your terms and condition. If you have a dependent agent in India, consider to be business connection. Non-resident, even you receive income outside India, even it accrues outside India, but having an agent in India to deemed to receive or deemed to accrue in India. Now, ma'am, what this agent is doing in India habitually. Remember that word habitually. What he does habitually, he maintains the stock for you, and he is the one who is deciding where to deliver the stock. Habitually secures order for you. He is the one securing the order. Habitually makes the conclusion of the contract. You have given him the authority that you will be deciding the conclusion of the contract. किसको कोई सर्विस देना है, किसको कोई स्टॉक यूज करने देना है, नहीं देना. You will be the person who is the deciding factor. अरे भाई कंट्रोल उसके हाथ में तुमने ही दिया ना. That means he is a independent agent. No, he is dependent on you and everything doing for you. Either wholly doing something for you, wholly means 100%, or mainly मतलब substantially working for you, थोड़ा बहुत किसी और के लिए काम करता है. That is your agent. Then in this case, what is not a business connection? Ma'am, business connection नहीं होगा if purchased in India for export. नहीं होगा। सेकंड में और क्या नहीं होगा? बिजनेस कनेक्शन नहीं होगा। न्यूज कलेक्टेड इन इंडिया फॉर एंड देन ट्रांसफर्ड आउट ऑफ इंडिया फॉर व्यूज वगैरह। देन थर्ड इज cinematography के लिए if individual coming should not be resident, should not be Indian citizen. Firm is coming, partner should not be resident, partner should not be citizen. Company is coming, director shareholder should not be resident, should not be Indian citizen. अरे चलो ये सब भी ठीक है. Then there was foreign company coming in India, engaged in mining of diamond, and what they does, mining of diamond के बाद uncut unassorted diamond they are displaying on notified areas given by central government. That is also not considered to be your business connection. क्यों? क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट ने बताया ना इतनी इतनी जगह you can display. That means you are not doing part of advertisement. गवर्नमेंट के हाथ में. Not considered as business connection. Apart from that, it is considered to be business connection. Done with the business connection वाला part. Now, individual का residential देखेंगे कैसे? Individual का residential status कैसे देखोगे? First of all, if basic condition out of two basic condition, any one condition fulfill करो. What is the connection? Previous year में 182 days or more you should stay in India. नहीं हो पाया. Previous year 60 days. उससे relevant previous 4 years में stay for 365 days or more. Any one condition will make you resident. But ordinary or not in ordinary? Now we will check the additional condition. Additional condition is previous 10 years में से. If you are resident in India only for 2 years also, one condition. Second compulsory है. 2 condition होगी तभी ordinary बनोगे. So second is what? Previous 7 years में से 730 days or more you have to stay in India. If both the conditions satisfied, ordinary resident. Now, both the condition not satisfied or one condition satisfied, you are resident because basic condition हो गया, but not an ordinary resident. Now link that not an ordinary का concept with your scope of income just now discussed. Business control should be in India for PGBP. Then there are certain cases in which only 182 days ka condition we have to see. What is that? If an Indian citizen leaves India as a member of Indianship, Indian citizen leave India as a member of Indianship, done. That is considered to be what? That is considered only 182 days का condition previous year में और कुछ भी नहीं, वही basic condition fulfill करो, खत्म ना. Second, again that is an Indian citizen leaving India for the purpose of employment. चले जाओ, कोई दिक्कत नहीं. Now Indian citizen who has employment outside India, first condition, visits India, earns in India income greater than 15 lakh. If normal, वो छोड़ो, but comes to India, earns greater than 15 lakh, not from foreign source, from Indian source. If that is the person, and remember it is not gross total income. Here they have written total income greater than 15 lakh. Okay. Now total income greater than 15 lakh they are earning in India. First condition, instead of that 60 days, हटाओ वो 60 days. If you can stay in India in previous year, now I'm writing this thing again. Suppose this is the person. Now this is the person who visits India. है ना? Now this is person who resides in India for greater than 182 days in previous year only. By previous year में वो 182 days रह चुका है. Means he visits India and stays in previous year for 182 days or more कर देते. In that case, income का criteria कुछ नहीं है. No criteria of income. Always he is what? Resident. अब resident ordinary or not an ordinary? Check the additional. Done. Now again this person coming to India, not staying for 182 days also. नहीं रह पाया. Now for him the condition is previous year 120 days है क्या? Okay. And in that 4 previous year 365 days है क्या? Now the answer could be yes. और आंसर could be no. If answer is yes, now check the income. भाई तेरी income कितनी है? Greater than 15 lakh? No, greater than 15 equal to 15 lakh. If greater than 15 lakh, then apply this rule 120 days one. If even he is residing in India for 120 days also, residing 365 days also, but income कितनी? Equal to 15 lakh. चलेगा ही नहीं क्योंकि this concept apply only when income is greater than 15 lakh. Now this condition applicable. Now only check this 120 and 365. No additional you are required to check. Ma'am, what if he is not staying for 120 days also? फिर तो वैसे भी कुछ नहीं हो सकता ना. He is not a resident. Understood? So this was the concept for your individual ka, that part who is coming to India. Now it is a concept of deemed resident. And what is deemed resident? Deemed resident due to domicile, due to residential status, that person ka income not getting taxable in India. That person का income India के कहीं भी taxable नहीं हो रहा. दुबई में because income tax is not there. Somewhere he is not citizen, not resident. So due to domicile, due to resident, not at all taxable. Then we will apply. Oh, Indian citizen इधर आओ. Only Indian citizen, not person of Indian origin. Previous case we have did 120 wala, that was Indian also and person of Indian origin also. Now in this case, oh, Indian citizen, if more than 15 lakh your income from Indian sources, and what is the condition? Due to domicile, resident not getting taxable anywhere, aja bhaiya, you are taxable in India, deemed to be resident and not an ordinary resident. That is the concept of your deemed resident. Done. Now linking it to HUF wala, I am not revising, that is very easy. HUF का कर्ता वाला additional condition you will see if it is resident. Now scope of income पे आ जाते हैं. Scope of income is section number 9, section number 7. Section number 7, received in India, deemed to be received in India. What is deemed to be received in India? If from recognized provident fund, unrecognized to recognized provident fund, some fund is transferred, deemed to be received in India. If employee contribution more than 9.5% interest or more than contribution 12% से ज़्यादा contribution, deemed to be received in India, खत्म. That is deeming provision. What about that is deemed to be received? Now deemed to accrue arise in India only for purpose of non-resident. Although they have income outside India, receive भी outside India हुई थी, accrue भी outside India हुई थी, but deemed. Why deemed? Nexus was in India. Remember वो concept Nexus कहाँ था? India में था. Now पहला तो हमने business connection ही कर लिया because Nexus of PGVP was in India. Second क्या हो गया? Actual में property is in India. You are selling that property outside India. एक non-resident दूसरे non-resident को property is selling. Now everything outside India, receiving the money outside India, everything outside India, but capital gain will be still taxable in India. क्यों? Because property is in India, so capital gain also deemed to receive in India. Property again in India, rented to a non-resident, another non-resident getting the rental income. अरे अब क्यों taxable? Property is in India, so house property income will also be taxable in India. Coming to salary, getting salary outside India, but service rendered in India, again taxable in India. Getting salary outside India, giving services also outside India, that is your embassy wala part, but given salary is given to an Indian citizen by central government. If central government giving salary to an Indian citizen who is outside India, भैया गया किसके पास से पैसा? गवर्नमेंट से. लेके तो रहेगी वो, भले ही तुम बाहर बैठे हो. So it is again deemed to be received or deemed to be accrue arise in India for a non-resident. अब embassy तो इंडिया में वापस आता नहीं, he is non-resident, but still it will be taxable. Now coming to interest, royalty, fees for technical service. Whether it is interest, whether it is royalty, whether it is fees for technical service given by government, always deemed to accrue arise in India. Remember वो concept आ रहा है? Then when it is given by person resident of India, when it is given by person resident of India, apart from interest, interest में they say we want foreign direct investment. A person resident of India taking loan and giving, a person resident of India taking loan and buying shares वगैरह etc. In that case, is it applicable here or it is applicable to non-resident paying interest to a non-resident but investment done in India? Remember one thing, when it is interest, royalty, fees for technical service, don't think about central government, state government, always deemed to accrue arise in India. When it is about interest, royalty and fees for technical service given by person resident of India and that non-resident utilizing it in Indian business, मतलब India में business करेगा, or any source of income in India, deemed to accrue arise in India. But when a non-resident giving interest, royalty, fees for technical service to another non-resident, if that non-resident utilize it in India, it is taxable, deemed to accrue arise in India. But when it comes to interest, a non-resident taking loan and investing in India, very good. We want at least कि foreign direct investment आना चाहिए. Only for interest part they have excluded that this is not deemed to accrue arise in India. Remember that concept. That is for your interest. Now, what is royalty? What is fees for technical service? First, coming to fees for technical service. Fees for managerial हो गया, तुम्हारे skills हो गए, तुम्हारा commercial knowledge हो गया, मतलब सब knowledge वाली बातें. Engineering का knowledge हो, किसी भी चीज का knowledge हो, scientific knowledge हो, that is all about knowledge. Fees for technical service you are providing. What is royalty? Royalty lump sum हो, royalty. Royalty installment में पे, royalty. Royalty whether taxable in capital gain, then it is not royalty. Royalty है क्या? Imparting information, right to use देना, right to use whether equipments का दो, scientific equipment or whatever equipment. Imparting knowledge, knowledge from scientific knowledge, commercial nature का, किसी भी nature का knowledge you are taking. Intangible से knowledge लेना, whatever, or right to use for intangible given, या फिर video form में, in form में इसको store करके भी रखना. Remember, that is all form of royalty, or any service related to all this, imparting information, etc. That is also your royalty. One more clarification, that was related to your software. As such, software की trading done by a transferor who is resident, and already at some place TDS was already deducted, क्योंकि मैंने या तो बाहर से वो सॉफ्टवेयर इंपोर्ट किया, या फिर इंडिया में किसी को बोला मेरे लिए सॉफ्टवेयर बनाओ. Imported from outside, I am making payment to 195 में TDS was deducted. Or saying to person who is resident in India, make a software for me, then I will pay at per 194J, TDS would be deducted. So if TDS was already deducted, and as such ये software को transfer किया जा रहा है without any modification, and the person who is trading in this software takes the PAN number, we prove though कि already TDS is deducted, then on such software का transfer, no TDS would again be deducted. This was related to your interest, royalty, fees for technical service, and this complete पूरा residential part also. छोटा सा बचा है 115 BA वगैरह, that I am skipping for right now. Rate of tax का already videos uploaded on the YouTube channel. You can find it over there. I hope now you know why I am saying cumulative revision. Exam time पे, if you are able to recall like this, अभी तो हमने क्वेश्चन नहीं किए, नेक्स्ट रिवीजन विल बी विद क्वेश्चंस. सो आर यू गेटिंग? हार्डली वी हैव कवर्ड 2 hours, 7 not even 2 hours, बट पूरा वेरियस एंटिटी along with रेसिडेंशियल स्टेटस वो भी थोड़ा बहुत लिख के. सो आर यू गेटिंग द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ क्यूमुलेटिव रिविजन? और अगर खुद से इफ यू आर पॉसिबल, इफ इट इज पॉसिबल फॉर यू कि ऐसे रिविजन यू कैन डू बाय योर ओन, I bet you will not open anyone's revision video, not even mine. किसी का revision video नहीं खोलोगे because everything है तो किसी को सुनना ही क्यों है? Are you getting? And every time you revise, the things get stuck. I told you ना, I never open the book. Why? Because इतना cumulative revision है कि यहाँ है चीजें, and that is possible only when you recall it. Recall करना पड़ेगा. तुम book खोल के जब तक revise करोगे ना, every time you will find DT is out of the box. In fact, IDT is out of the box. Close your books, read it one time, but read it with full concentration. उसके बाद जितना हो हर बार क्लास में सुन लिया, रीडिंग कर ली, फिर रिवाइज, रिकॉल, no rereading. So, as a student of my class, say complete no to rereading. It should not be a rereading. Only close the book, write it down and check. क्या भूल गए? जो भूल गए उसको लर्न करो. Done. खत्म. Understood? Second, take an oath. What is the oath? कितना भी tough question हो, never check the answer. That is the thing. यहाँ पे चलेगा. Rusting तभी हटेगी. Understood? So I hope the revision lecture was good for you, beneficial for you. Would really love कि अगर तुम comment करके मुझे बताओगे तो मुझे पता चलेगा, helpful है. Next revision will be based on question के साथ पूरे provision we will revise when we have completed all these chapters. Okay, so